Hello there, I'm Vas. Today, I want to just talk to you about hypnosis or hypnotherapy and the myth behind this word. It scares people for no rhyme or reason. So, what is it? Why did I go into it? You see, I've been coaching people to do extraordinary things in sports, to heal their disorders, for leaders to get their team members to perform, and often people are struggling to just base on some advice that their leaders might have given them to perform. So they go back after listening to the advice, agreeing with the advice, but when they get home, in a day or two's time, they realize that they can't perform. And they don't know why. And the bosses conclude that they may be lazy, stupid, and incorrigible, some of them, that they can't change. And so people give up on others. I've realized that these problems that human beings have, which they are not in control of, is residing somewhere in them. It's called a program. They've been programmed to be sick, to not perform, like they will be programmed to perform. So now, if they're performing, there's no qualms. You can go on and continue to be better. Even then, you need some processes to be better. But then if you're not performing, how do you help somebody? How do you help yourself? So it is something that is lying deep inside our mind, our unconscious mind. Whatever we are conscious of, the 20% is easy to deal with. That 90% that is unconscious is almost inaccessible through normal communication. So what is it? What is hypnosis? To put it simply, it is about a higher level of communication with the part of you that you can't consciously communicate with. So there's a language to this. And so for years, people have mastered this language. And people like Milton Erickson, even before that, my gurus like Oman McGill, who was teaching me when he was 91 years old. I was so privileged to learn from a person like him. And he passes on the year after. And I've got these books that strengthen me, to give me the basis from which all this knowledge is coming from. Having learned from the best, I'm in a position not only to help others, but also give leaders, some of you who are watching this may be considering why they should learn, why they should be in a position to help others with these tools. So I mentioned that hypnosis is only but a higher level of communication, advanced communication techniques. To speak to the part that is not listening consciously. So let me take it to another level. You don't need any tricks for this. From all the people that I've learned, there were no tricks at all. But then people need some tricks to be convinced that hypnosis works. Well, there are enough tricks that are going on in this world, outside of the classroom, where hypnosis is getting a bad name. So that's the reason why I do not include any form of tricks in my class whatsoever, because it doesn't matter. Can I do it? Anybody can. But that's not where the crux of the matter is. It is about getting through to that part of the person that is resisting change and to get the change done. So we have processes, and one of the most important step of these processes is to be likable. To be likable. When you like somebody, when you like a person, wouldn't you be listening to him? Sometimes advice that comes from a person that you love, you like, that you respect so much, it will be easier to agree. And you don't know why you are agreeing and doing what they are doing. And you realize that it could be because you just like the person. It's not about what they said or how they said it. It's just simple. Do you like the person? So it's called rapport. So fundamentally, that's what we try and achieve. To get the person, whoever is going to be the hypnotherapist or hypnotist or the advanced communication master, to be likable. And once that goal is achieved, then it would matter what techniques they know. So when it comes to techniques, there are simple techniques. It is ultimately to get somebody in a relaxed state. From a relaxed state, would you agree that when you're stressed, it'll be difficult to perform, difficult to remember, difficult to do your mathematics? You would agree with that, don't you? Now, when you are relaxed, wouldn't your brain, your mind, your body be more receptive, be more available to you for you to perform? Like your memory will flow out when you're relaxed? I want you to think about this. When you were taking exams, when you're in the exam room, you get all stressed out because you momentarily forgot what the answer was. And then you hand in the paper, frustrated, you couldn't remember. And then you go out to the canteen and buy yourself a drink, and suddenly, when you're relaxed, the answers just come up. What does that mean? When you are relaxed, you become more intelligent. Everything flows in and out of you. So that's what we do. Get somebody to be relaxed. And once the person is relaxed, the person's resources are available to them. And then through other techniques, what we do is we make them receptive to what you're saying. And what we are saying is a collaboration. You see, I teach my hypnotists, my advanced communicators, never to say anything that is against the will of the client. Never to suggest anything that is against the will of the client. It is a collaboration that during the process of diagnosis, we establish exactly what the client wants. And even enhancing it to help the client to make sure it is clarified and verbalized in the right way so that it goes in as an awesome story into the unconscious, and from which, when you emotionalize it, it becomes a behavior immediately. Wouldn't that be what you want? Isn't that what ultimately it is? And then what we do is we expound it even more. We get the people to really realize, instead of just having the goal, there must be a higher purpose. You see, so that question is so important. You know, I ask kids, why do you go to school? And they say, to study. That's the wrong answer. When I ask a person, why do you want to be healthy? To be able to do work. That's the wrong answer. You see, so most of us need the motivation to want to perform. And that's the reason why we ask that question, the higher purpose question. Because the higher purpose, when a person has a higher purpose, like this 8-year-old kid that I was coaching, when he said he has to prove his father wrong, and that's why he needs to get his A's in that year in the school, when he has to prove his father wrong. Now you tell me, would that kid need any more motivation when he knows that he is going to school to prove his father wrong? It's not about studying anymore. It's about that emotion where he wants to make sure that he looks at his father's face. I'm not too sure whether this kid's father is alive or not, but whatever the thing is, he wants to make sure that his father respects him. You see, that's the kind of work we do. So every human being needs to have a higher purpose, like a person who might be sick. And so sometimes these questions asked lovingly would set a person free. Set a person free. What do I mean? Set the resources of the person, the inner resources free to prevail, to avail itself, to heal the disorder that the person is having. And that is ultimately what hypnosis is. And all other techniques are irrelevant because you can find them in these books, encyclopedias written on hypnosis. I travel the world, and these are only a few books that I'm showing you where the basis comes from. And my students are running clinics in KL, in Port Dickson, and several other places in Asia. And instead of me running a clinic, what I choose to do, because my vision is to help more and more people liberate themselves and live awesome lives, my purpose is to go out and help people like you who have the inkling, who have the thinking, who may have made a decision to want to genuinely, professionally help people and to be trained in a proper way without saying, I'm the one who did it. Without saying that. To serve another human being. Genuinely serve another human being. To help them find the answers for themselves that will liberate them from their difficulties and to live an awesome life. Ultimately, that's what hypnosis is all about. That's my education. That's the kind of gurus that I have sought out to learn from, and I continue to learn from. Learning doesn't end here. We get better and better. Think about this. When you choose to come into a hypnosis program, get your decisions right. What you want to do with it. It's not the fancy stuff. You want the fancy stuff, go somewhere else. You want to know legitimately how to help somebody, help yourself, and stay sustainably cured and doing well, well, there are a few schools where you can go to. Stay tuned. Thank you.